Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this AFC South show, episode 169, here on Curtis Podcast Network. I'm the host, Curtis Brown. With me, as always, my resident co-hosts, Isaiah, a.k.a. Duval's Finest, a.k.a. the Glitter Kitty Conquistador, also the host of Third and Teal. Please go check out that channel. Like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you're a Duval's fan.
Do it.
Isaiah, how you doing tonight?
Oh, you know.
Okay.
Down
Here at the bottom, down here at the bottom, we've got our resident Colts man, Jeff, aka Big Steck, aka the Pony Breaker. I don't. What do you do to horses? You break them in, right? You know the thing. Like you get like a wild horse, like a stallion.
Tame a horse, tame a wild.
I had to break it in. Like
it's breaking. It's breaking.
Is it a
you break
like
a horse?
Shoe? You break in a shoe?
Yeah, you break it. You break a horse. You break in a Colts fan's back. It's just.
Well, you can check out.
It's episode 169. Everybody, you're gonna get to use.
I am at 69.
Check out Jeff over on Unstabled. He is holding it down over there with Justin and Alex. And then go ahead while you're at it, like, subscribe, notification bell over there. I'm the host of That Real Texas Team podcast as well. It's talking everything Texans. Like, subscribe, notification bells. We got a Titans podcast as well, Titans Takeaways. Please go like and subscribe. They're in hiding right now, and rightfully so because of the shellacking that happened this Sunday after I had done a huge rant about how 11 points was a crazy spread. But that aged like milk on a summer day. Yeah. So let's get this started, gentlemen. We've got injuries. Who wants to go first?
How's Anthony Richardson's vagina holding up?
I'm out,
Coach.
I'm out, Coach. I'm out, Coach.
I'm tired, Coach. I don't
can't
feel
go
so
on,
good,
Coach.
Mr. Stark. I'll go. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. had a rib injury. They were like, 2 to 4 weeks. And he's like, I don't like that. I'm going to go get a second opinion. And the other doctor said that he's basically like he said he's got some soreness, but like he's not, there's no real damage. So BTJ should be back this week, potentially. Christian Kirk broke his collarbone. He's officially ruled out for the season. Ezra Cleveland is day-to-day. Brandon Sheriff has some soreness, but should be fine. He returned to the game in that last one. Gabe Davis hurt his shoulder again. ETN still considered day-to-day, but could come back this week. Who else? There's one other person. Mason Smith and his ankle. He's progressing. But nothing really too crazy out of this game besides the Christian Kirk collarbone, unfortunately.
Okay. Now, is that like for Scherz's season ending, or is it?
Yeah, no, he's
going on IR.
No, he fractured his collarbone. Like he's done for the year.
Okay, so like even if y'all made like a playoff run,
he would come back if he was able to come back. It would be very late, but typically broken collarbones you don't come back the same season.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I was just clarifying.
No, I got you. No, I don't think even with a late playoff run he's coming back. And I also don't think we're getting a late playoff run. So,
Jeff, any injuries for the Colts?
It seemed like they came out of the game, relatively unscathed. Aside from, Anthony Richardson's. I'm tired, Coach. I need a nap. I think the only person that really got hurt, it looks like Bernard Ryman is in concussion protocol, which is their left tackle. So other than that, it seemed like they came out of the game healthy, which is one of the few positives.
Yeah, true. Diggs got hurt. Jarrett Patterson got hurt. Diggs' injury, there's not much information on it even now. He did not participate in practice today. It was a non-contact injury, so it's a little sketch. Usually those are not good, but the fact he's just on the injury report and is not on IR is a big sign. Don't know exactly what that means, but I also don't really expect him to play Thursday night. Jarrett Patterson came in to relieve Kenyon Green, who probably played the worst game of football any left guard has ever played in the history of football. Jared Patterson came in, was doing pretty well, and then got a concussion and quickly left. So then Kenyon came back and continued to play the worst game of left guard history. Because it's Monday and they're already practicing, Aziz Al-Shair is still not participating. Toto coming back from a concussion is a full participant. Jimmy Ward did not participate with a groin. Damian Pierce with a groin did not participate. And Kalen Bullock left the game and came back against the Colts. He has a shoulder injury. He was a limited participant. As for the Titans, I don't know if it matters. I just don't know. I mean, 1-6, coming off a 52-14 show. I'm gonna look it up. Can somebody fluff while I'm looking this?
52-14.
Fuck the Titans. It was
Fluff.
never
It
the
was
Titans.
never the time. All I'm gonna say is you thought I was kidding when I said 49-9.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite the 40-point beatdown I thought, but it was pretty damn close.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Oh, that was it wasn't
What a
pretty
great
game.
team.
The Lions, yeah.
Hey, but at least Calvin Ridley had a great first quarter.
That's true.
Tony Pollard had some yards. That's good.
Yeah, Tony
good for
Pollard
him.
is far and away the bright spot for this Titans team.
Yeah.
Not even close.
At least Mason Rudolph knows how to use Calvin Ridley. I mean, 143 yards for 10 receptions is not terrible.
He got as many he got as many yards as he's had all year on that game, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's honestly one of Mason Rudolph's best games, including the interceptions. Oddly enough, I mean, have you seen Jared Goff's stat line? 12 of 15.
I think he had like 85 yards.
85 yards.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns.
And then David Montgomery threw a touchdown pass, and Hendon Hooker came in and threw 3 passes.
It's like they're just coming in and playing with teams. Like they did the same thing with Dallas. They were throwing passes to linemen, and it's like they're just it's just a joke to them with some of these teams.
Yeah. Jahmyr Gibbs ran all over him. This was Javondre Sweat didn't play, so they had another guy in. David Montgomery got another score on the ground. Of course, Gibbs had that 70-yard run. Sam Laporta got in the end zone. Former Titan Khalif Raymond got in the end zone. Backup tight end Wright got in, and Amon-Ra St. Brown with 2 catches for 7 yards, one of them being for a touchdown.
Saved his fantasy day.
Literally. It doesn't tell me what injuries they sustained during the game. And, I don't know why that's not a thing, a post-game injury report. But
there's a lot of, I think, special team yardage, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah. They had like a 90-yard punt return touchdown, a lot of really big kickoff returns. They didn't have to do much, honestly. They were gifted a lot of yards by this Titans team. And I was driving into work this morning, and the early morning radio show was talking about the game and talking about, some of the movement that has been happening with the roster lately. Some of these guys who were not playing as much were doing special teams, and now they're playing more and either still playing special teams, and that's suffering because of the extra reps, or they're having new guys come in and play special teams entirely, and that is hurting the special teams quality, which is an interesting point. I didn't really think about it like that until they said that, but this Titans team, good God.
Sorry about that.
I mean, they're just awful.
Yeah.
Like Tony Pollard, and it's Tony Pollard and then the left side of the offensive line versus the world. That is it. Like, really don't have quarterback play. Doesn't matter who's slinging the rock at this point. If I'm a Titans fan, thank God I'm not. I'm considering maybe not watching games. Like it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Do you guys have any Detroit Lions Titans comments? anymore, I should say.
I will say I think it's funny that like not funny. I think it's good for Titans fans that they have at least one receiver who's relatively consistent. And Kanye Westbrook caught his third straight touchdown in a game. So you know he's,
You said it backwards.
Is it Westbrook Akine?
Yeah,
it's hyphenated. I don't give a fuck. It's the same thing.
It just called it.
Yeah, fucking NIW, whatever. So anyways, so you know that was good, and he's a guy that I think they could be pretty safe re-signing after this year without having to like blow the bank on him, but still getting like a decent contract, couple of years, and then they can try and go out and get a good guy. You know, I think that the blowing up of the roster they've been doing probably going to keep happening. Yeah. I think that this game and honestly, I don't know that I have them winning many more games for the rest of the year. Yeah. It's going to be tough. I think that there's a good chance that this Titans team we've come to know and hate over the years is a team that we're going to love because it's like, hey, free game. But yeah, I mean the Lions were just playing with them, like you said. I mean, it just looked like they were out there, you know, throwing the ball around, having a fucking pizza party on the last day of school. Like it was not good.
Yeah, looking at their schedule for the rest of the year. So you're home against New England. You go at the Chargers.
Loss.
Home against Minnesota.
Loss.
At Houston.
Loss.
At Washington.
Loss.
Home against Jacksonville.
Loss.
Home against Cincinnati.
Loss.
At Indianapolis.
Loss.
At Jacksonville.
Loss.
Home against the Houston Texans.
Loss. Yeah, they're going to lose out.
1-16. It's a real possibility.
It is. I think they won their one game they were going to win. And like I expected them to win 4 to 6 games this year at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
But like with how they've blown up some of the team and like just the fact that they just can't figure out who to play and like I just don't see it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I don't either. They've got a rough stretch. And it doesn't like at this point, do you even bother throwing Will Levis back out there when he's healthy? Like, do you think you've seen enough if you're a Titans fan to say definitively it's 100% Will Levis and it's 0% anything else?
I haven't seen enough to say that.
Mason Rudolph he threw a couple picks, but you know, Will Levis was too. But
yeah,
Mason Rudolph looked okay, and the Lions have a good defense. Like he didn't look terrible.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I will say though, if you really think about it, I mean, every year there's at least a couple of games where backups come in and they just like do really good for no reason other than just playing and doing good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't think Mason Rudolph is the answer, and I don't think Will Levis is necessarily the answer. But I don't think you give up on Levis yet with what you invested in him.
Yeah, I'm with you on this, Isaiah. I think he's a guy that is still technically in his first 17 games of playing as a starter in the NFL, and he doesn't have a right offensive side of like the right offensive line is just not there.
Well, you know. Something I said about him coming out of college in that draft class specifically, I think he had the best mechanics in that draft class when it comes to just pure throwing a football from the pocket. You know, and I think that part of it that's killing him is like he's not one of those guys that in college was running around all the time making off-platform throws and checking down to the tight end. You know, he was throwing it deep, having plenty of time. They had a run game that you really had to respect, which he kind of had last year, which helped him in some of those games where he threw 3 or 4 touchdowns. But like, you know, you really don't have to respect anything about this Tennessee team. And, you know, Kentucky, I mean, when he was there, they had 2 running backs that were going for 150 to 200 yards combined every game. Yeah. You know, and now you have a situation where you lost a generational running back in Derrick Henry, and he's putting up 150 plus yard games with the Ravens now. And I don't know. I don't think that Will Levis is necessarily a failed part of the experiment. I think the experiment failed him, but I still don't think he's a great quarterback, but he's definitely better than what we've seen him play as.
And, you know, you touched on something that didn't make sense to me even when it was going on. Like, why the hell did they let Derrick Henry go?
Man,
If you're
Carson,
worried about building a quarterback up, one of the best ways to make sure his life is as easy as possible is an effective running game. You had a worse offensive line last year, which is hard to believe, but Derrick Henry still was the second rusher in the league. He was still able to do Derrick Henry things, not as effectively, but that would put them in a different stratosphere altogether. They probably win a couple of these games,
yeah.
are sitting in a much different situation. So I think that was a botch for sure. And
What happened to Tajay Spears?
he got hurt a couple weeks ago, and then Tony Pollard came in and took all of the reps. Like,
Yeah, like I thought after last year, like he had a couple of games where he put together some good games and
yeah,
help Henry out. And then this year, I didn't know he got hurt, but I mean, like even when he's played, I've seen like just hasn't looked great. Like he's
no. Well,
yeah.
I think their offense works better when Tony Pollard's out there. He gives them a more credible speed running threat. And Tajay Spears is an agile guy, but he doesn't have that I'm going to burn you all the way down the field thing that Tony Pollard can do. Beyond that, I don't really have much else to say about this Titans team. I know the Titans fans really don't. They're kind of just like, all right, well, we're getting Cam Ward.
Nah, baby, Shadur Sanders.
Shadur Sanders.
Either way,
Shadur in it.
Shadur.
if they don't draft a right guard and a right tackle in the draft this year, or sign one and draft the other, or draft two and sign two, they're failing whatever quarterback they're bringing in. Let's move to the other non-division on division game, Jaguars and the Packers. 2 weeks in a row, the Packers have beaten an AFC South team on a last-second field goal. Isaiah, what's the vibe down there in Duval?
Andre Cisco is a liability. Both big plays from the tight ends, or not tight ends, both big plays. So the 67-yard play by Tucker Kraft and then the 51-yard play by Jaden Reed. Both of those were on him. I mean, literally those two plays alone, as I said, go for 118 yards, roughly. 118 yards on one player on two different plays, and he got stiff armed like 4 times on the Tucker Kraft play. We tie up the game. Trevor Lawrence drives down the field, fucking shows us why why we drafted him there, and he plays like we need him to, and blah blah blah. And like even people in the national media now are like, does Trevor Lawrence have to play perfect for us to win games? Because our defense is awful. I think we have the 31st or 32nd defense in the league right now in terms of points scored against and yards allowed, stuff like that. I mean, all the important stats that you don't want to be first in, or 32nd, I guess, technically, but you know what I mean? And Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he had the boneheaded interception where he was not, that's a play that a lot of quarterbacks make because Xavier McKinney, whatever, either way. Yeah, Xavier McKinney, he played that ball great. He was running back with BTJ, and as soon as Trevor, he was looking at Trevor, as soon as he cocked his arm back, he planted his foot and went after it. Trevor was eyeing Kirk all the way on that one. He really shouldn't have thrown that ball, but it was kind of a safer one if McKinney carried with Brian Thomas Jr. running down the seam. And the fumble, he thought he could break that. That's the same guy he had broke the tackle on for his 6-yard touchdown run. So he thought he could break that one again. He even said it in his press conference. So he switched hands to his outside hand and tried to break it. And whenever 56 wrapped his arm around, he just hit the ball perfectly, knocked it out of Trevor's hands. He should have protected the ball and taken the sack or just thrown it away. But at the same time, not a huge, it is what it is. He still played a good game. I just think that our defense is just honestly awful. I don't know what it is necessarily. I don't know if it's all coaching. I don't know if it's players that aren't as good as we think they are. A lot of times players just look confused out there. Like Ryan Nielsen's scheme is really weird. We've got Foye Oluokun, Devin Lloyd, and Ventrell Miller, and like they'll play all three linebacker spots at like multiple different points in the game. And it's like, could we not just play them where they're good? And like, I don't understand why we have to keep on rotating guys in. We got Eric Armstead lining up in a fucking 7 and a 5 technique, close to the goal line. We've got Trayvon Walker coming out on fucking third downs. We're running fucking meat package on a goddamn on their fucking 4-yard line. Why would you have on they're on their own 4 or 5 yard line and it's second down or third down? Why are we putting 4 guys who weigh over 300 pounds out there on the line when they've been running play action and killing us on it all game? It was just terrible all around in terms of the defensive side of the ball. Players getting hurt left and right on offense. By the end of the game, Trevor Lawrence was throwing to fucking Tim Jones, Parker Washington, and whoever else they could fucking muster to get out there. I mean, like it was just a bad day. Coaching on offense too. I mean, you get no gain on first down. Tank Bigsby takes it for 8 yards on second down. It's 3rd and 2, and what do? You throw a fucking screen pass, right? Because that makes sense. It's like, what are we even doing? And I want to be optimistic about the rest of the season because this is technically right where we were in 2022. We were 2-6, and then on our only loss in the rest of the season was to the Lions. I do think we have a pretty manageable schedule down the stretch. But this is the 3rd or 4th game we've lost by a field goal. I'm glad we're actually scoring points now, like more than 18 or whatever the fucking first couple weeks, but it's just not a really great outlook. Just when you think the defense is getting better, they put out a stinker, and really it was on 3 or 4 big plays led up by Andre Cisco and company. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just been rough.
Looking at the scores, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 losses that are within a touchdown. They're less than a touchdown. And then you've got a win that is 3 points over the Colts. And then the 16-point win over the Patriots. So it seems like you guys either play really close or really one way or the other. Like the Buffalo game being one extreme and then the Patriots game being the other. So this Jags game, like, I'm trying to think about how I want to word this. At what point did Love get hurt?
So I think he got hurt on the first or second drive. Like he started feeling his leg. You could see him limping on a little bit, but he played for almost the whole first half. I think he was like somewhere in the second quarter late that they yanked him. And then Malik Willis came in. But I think he actually got hurt on the first or second drive. He rolled out or did something and landed on his leg wrong. So he limped for a couple drives and they took him out.
Okay. So what happened? How the hell did Malik Willis engineer any sort of game-winning drive? It's Malik Willis.
He didn't. The game-winning drive was Andre Cisco not doing his job and Jaden Reed running free for 51 yards.
Okay.
It was a solid throw by Malik Willis. Like Malik Willis took advantage of what was in front of him, and they ran a very complex play that evolved into something big for him. Like Malik Willis, and I'm not taking anything away from him. He made a good throw, and he did exactly what you want a quarterback to do when a play breaks down like that. He, broke down on the defensive side, I should say. You have a guy running free. You don't overthrow him. You don't underthrow him. You get the ball to him in his range. You let him catch it, and he goes for 51 yards. After that, it was just running the clock out from there. It really wasn't anything he did specifically besides the one throw he made. But it was on a terrible busted play. The dude was wide open for 20-something yards before anybody was anywhere near him.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all were down 17-27 at one point?
17-27. Trevor Lawrence drove down. We got a field goal, and then he drove down to throw a 14-yard touchdown pass where Evan Ingram floated over 3 guys. Great pass. Yeah, I mean, great placement. Evan Ingram went up and got it. But yeah, and then the defense was like, "Hey, want to see us give up another big play?"
Want to see me do it again?
Because Josh Jacobs had a hell of a day. Yeah, I think he had 2 touchdowns, like 130 or 140 something yards on the ground. One of them was a 38-yard touchdown run. Malik Willis came in and played admirably. I don't think he did great. I don't think he did bad. He did well. And he won the game for him. That's all that really matters at the end of the day, But I will say, like, Malik Willis. When Willis has come in, he's played pretty damn good this season. And I think that I'm not saying he's what the Titans needed or should have kept, but I think they're probably regretting that right about now, because he actually is fast enough and strong enough to get out of the pocket and extend plays. Whereas, we got other guys, like, not to bring it back to that game, but I think Malik Willis, like I said earlier in the year, like, anytime he's gotten his opportunity, he's played very well. And I think the Packers team are doing what the Titans did not do with him. And I think they trust him. That was something I said all last year, and I'm sure you guys remember, but anytime he got an opportunity, it just looked like they didn't trust him. And I think the Packers are like, "Hey, dude, like, Jordan Love's hurt. This is a winnable game. You got to lead. Go out there and fucking sling it." And that's what they did.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, Packers, Jaguars.
I don't remember what the final score I said. I'm pretty sure I took the Packers by 3. And honestly, I think the Jaguars played well enough to win, but like Isaiah was saying, the defense just, snatched defeat from the jaws of victory kind of thing. So, but yeah, Josh Jacobs had a really nice day, and that's kind of what the Packers needed to lean on, regardless of who was at quarterback. And it worked. Jacksonville again, just on defense, just didn't do enough. When you put up 27, those are games you should win, and you gotta put that. I mean, yeah, Trevor Lawrence had a bad pick, but he also threw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, which is, Trevor Lawrence hasn't done a lot of 300-yard games. I mean, it's been several 100-yard games, so it's been kind of a mixed bag with him. So I feel like they still did enough to win. It's just the defense let him down.
Well, we talk about it all the time on the show and in our group chats. Like, I just don't think the coaching staff lets him loose enough. Like, anytime we get a lead, we get super stupid concerned for no reason. Like in the Patriots game, Trevor Lawrence was carving them up, threw for 280 or 300, whatever he threw for. And then, like, we get the lead and we ran 19 straight times. Like, sure, the run game's working and we're doing that. Let Trevor Lawrence throw a fucking 5-touchdown game. Like, I think that's part of the reason the narrative on him is the way it is not because I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback right now. And I think he's played like a top 10 in the past and whatever, but like, they don't let him just go out there and fucking light a team up. They clip his wings. They're like, "Oh, we're up now. Let's just run the ball, or let's do this." And then 3 and outs later, our defense can't hold up. And then all of a sudden their team's back in it. Against the Patriots, we're running fucking prevent with goddamn a quarter and a half left in the game. Like, I don't understand it. I think that's part of it that people don't get is like, Trevor Lawrence is a great quarterback, but when you have a coaching staff that is like, "Hey, you did great. We're going to take the game out of your hands now and give it to the running backs." It's like, it's kind of hard to put together those big games. And I don't know, man. It's been rough.
So would you say that the Jaguars' defensive failures this year are a direct reflection of Ryan Nielsen, or the personnel being more often than not hurt?
I would say it's a reflection on Ryan Nielsen.
Okay.
I do. I just think that if you watch, like, especially because, like, we on our episodes, they've been going long and we've been watching a lot of film and stuff, though. Like, if you watch the plays, like, I played in high school. I helped with, like, our scheme, our defense and everything. Like, I know a little bit about football. I couldn't go be an NFL coach right now. I couldn't go be a college coach right now, but like, I know enough about football and how players play and what they're supposed to do, where if I can't dissect it the first time watching it, we can figure it out after a couple of replays. But like, there's some plays where I just don't have any fucking clue what some players are doing. Like, the only reason that Ventrell Miller looks so fucking good is because he's not like doing anything crazy. He's just following his instincts and he's going after the fucking football. He's playing C-ball, hit ball. Like that's what he's doing. These other guys are fucking, pre-snap communicating and doing all this and hemming and hawing and doing all that shit. And then the play starts and all of a sudden they're fucking 40 yards away from the dude they're supposed to be with. Like, I don't know what this defense is trying to be. We keep flipping the scheme. My thing is like, we can't be a man defense now because Tyson Campbell's hurt and Darnell Savage is hurt. Well, motherfucker, if you've been practicing all fucking offseason as a press man defense, and then a guy or two gets hurt, and all of a sudden we're a zone defense. How the fuck do you think that reflects on the players? Like, it's I don't know. I think that he's doing a little too much. I think that we need to let players get in one position, learn that position, and do well at it. I think we need to stop subbing players out every other fucking play. Like, I don't understand it. But I think it's more on him than the players. I think we have good players. I think just the coaching staff and the scheme don't know what they want to do or be.
Yeah. Okay. I did find the prediction sheet from last week, so let me run down this real quick. I had the Lions winning 27-24. Jeff had 49-9. Pretty damn close. Isaiah, arguably closer, 47-13. Arguably closer. Packers Jags, I had Packers 34-31. Jeff had Packers 24-21. And Isaiah had 28-21 Jacksonville. Do we have any more Jags Packers comments? For the rest of that, I imagine you should probably go watch the latest Third and Teal for a lot more of an in-depth breakdown. I got to catch a little bit of their live stream earlier, breaking down film. So if you're into that, go check it out. Let's get into the Colts-Texans game. Jeff, let's talk about it.
Yeah, again, if you want a lot of the anger, go over to Unstable. We finished up a live stream not even an hour ago. So again, if you want a more in-depth thing, me and Justin we're talking about it. I don't want to go too much into the refs. I just don't agree with their calls. I think some of them were really late. I feel like, on that we were discussing it before we went live on here, it was pass interference on Pittman. But I'm like, if he throws the ball to Pittman, is that still pass interference on Pittman? If he doesn't catch it, like, you could argue that the defender caused back. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's one of those where you let the guys play, but it is what it is. And that's not the reason that the Colts lost, not the whole reason. I would argue that going into the half, Anthony Richardson was 2 of 15. So, there was a lot of drops. And got to help out a quarterback that's already struggling. But I'm going to blame, again, there's a lot of blame to go around. Shane Steichen deciding to throw it at the end when you're at your own 5 didn't make a whole lot of sense. I was up in the rafters and I had my face in my hat, and I was just saying, man, this is going to end in disaster. It just run it out, run it with Jonathan Taylor, see if you can rip off a big run. If not, take the knee and end it. You're on the road, tied game. If you look at the stats, it should have been a lot worse. And it was just a blessing that it was 10-10. And you call for a pass, and then another pass, and then he throws a pick, which is basically a pick 6 because the ensuing play was a touchdown. So you're talking about a 10-10 game, 17-10, Colts lost by 3. Just trying to be too aggressive. You gave up 7 points is what you did. So a lot of the blame goes to Shane Steichen for calling that. Of course, it was a really bad pass by Anthony Richardson, so blame has to go there too. And I just kind of want to look into the future before I talk about the actual game. I hated Anthony Richardson's answers in the presser. I think the fans are allowed to say, oh, it's only his 10th game in the NFL. Oh, he's only played 20-something games total. But there's a reason that Anthony Richardson has that C on his jersey. Like, you were voted for by the team. What'd I do?
I'm hopping out.
No,
you're good. I got to go.
Oh, okay. It's like Anthony Richardson.
Rest of the show.
All right, man.
You too, bud. Thanks for coming.
But yeah, he was voted on by the team to be the captain. That's what he was. Whatever. You don't get to go into the presser and say, man, y'all need to chill. It's my 10th game. You don't get to say that. Okay. Then I think it was the third quarter, big third down play. He had a couple of runs, and none of this makes any sense because the entire game he rushed for 45 yards. And, I'm tired. They asked him about it in the presser, and he goes, "Oh, I was tired. No, I'm not even going to lie." Now, I can understand, like running backs sometimes have to check themselves out. There's a deep pass. Typically, the receiver and the corner come out on the next play. Usually.
Right.
I get getting winded, but you're the quarterback. I have never seen a quarterback check themselves out of a game like that. Never. Like I've seen centers literally throwing up on the football. The Packers did it to Malik. I think it was Malik Willis. He vomited on the football, and Malik was like, "I can't throw it. I have to run." There's puke all over the ball. It's like there's no excuse right there for that. And you can talk a lot. We can talk a lot of shit talking to a monitor, but at the end of the day, he's on a $30 million rookie deal. You're a team captain. You ran 40 yards, and if I'm like a DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, Quentin Nelson, Kelly, I mean, I'm in the twilight of my career. I see this 22 young buck. Buckner played all of that Matt Ryan year, that disaster. The last few games, he was hurt, back problems, arm problems, shoulder problems. He's playing in pointless games that mean nothing to him. We're not going to win anything. He's still out there on the field. So when he sees this from the quarterback, what message is that sending as the team captain? Like they're going to defend him. They're going to say it. They're going to whatever. But in their head, like, bro.
Yeah.
I know damn well Flacco was not going to on third down. Like that just, I still want him to succeed. But at this point, I'm like, man, it's tough to be behind him. It really is. And, he finished the game 10 of 30 something, 32, which is 31% completion. And I saw the stat. I can't remember. It was on a reel. It's another podcast. I can't remember what it was called, but AR is 222nd in completion rate among 225 quarterbacks with 250 dropbacks since 2000, the year 2000. Jamarcus Russell, Leaf, Painter, list goes on of quarterbacks that are better than him in completion rate. Yeah. Like the ones behind him are like Tim Tebow. I think another one was McMahon or something like that. It's bad. He's not in good company. And like you could argue, oh, you start Flacco now. They pretty much conceded the division to the Texans by not putting Flacco out there. I mean, they had all these problems and still only lost this game by 3. Yeah. So the game was there, and they still said, even after, we're just going to keep riding him. We're going to keep giving him the reps. He looked better in the second half. Again, there were a lot of drops. Josh Downs looked really good. He was the only receiver that it looked like that wanted to catch the damn ball. Pittman had a drop. I saw another deep pass to him. Didn't even look for it. Like the ball landed right next to him, and he was kind of confused. Like, oh yeah, I'm a receiver. I'm supposed to be looking for that. Like it just fell harmlessly right next to him. Like all you had to do was like turn.
Yeah.
There's Will Mallory dropped a couple. Goodson had a touchdown shot that he dropped. Adonai Mitchell had a reset. I mean, he caught it. He was just a little bit out of bounds for a touchdown. So AR definitely looked better in the second half, despite him tapping out of the third down play. But it still wasn't good enough. He had a really good run there at the end of the game, and it got to a point that last Hail Mary attempt, whatever it was, Texans only brought 3. And like I was still saying, I'm like, you know what? This Hail Mary isn't going to work. Their success rate isn't great. So you have one of the most expensive kickers in the league. I know a 67-yarder is kind of you kick it from midfield, but that's what I was telling him to do. And I'm like, this isn't going to work. We're going to lose the game. I know he can get it to the end zone, but he ate a sack. He didn't even give his guys a chance. So I don't think missing a field goal there is any worse than what the Colts did anyway. So I would have said just kind of put it up, put the ball in the air and see what happens.
Yeah.
At least go for a tie. But, I mean, it was really nice to see Buckner back. He seemed like his old self. He was surprisingly, Gus Bradley dialed up a lot of pressures. They were in C.J. Stroud's face. It seemed like a lot. Didn't turn into a lot of sacks. But I think Buckner got one. Odeyingbo got one. He also had a fumble. that, I'm sorry, Colts fans, as much as you wanted that to be a touchdown, they did. That was one of the few calls I think that the refs actually got right in the game. He was down by contact. It wasn't a touchdown. They were right to call it back. But I mean, it was still a good play. It's just they didn't do jack shit with it. But let me see. There was a stat here. Let me see. I'm on the wrong thing. Oh, well, screwed. But yeah, I think defensively, the Colts did more than enough to keep him in the game. I don't want to give him, I don't want to knock that touchdown against him there at the end of the first half. That to me is more of a pick six. So really, the Colts defense let up 16 points. Yeah. And I'm willing to give that up all the time. Mixon, he had a good game, which I fully expected to happen. But so did Jonathan Taylor. And Jonathan Taylor was a little more effective on less attempts, which leads me to say, in such a close game, I don't know why you're dropping Anthony Richardson back 30 plus times anyway. I think really his limit should be 15 or 20. And they didn't run it ever with Trey Sermon or Goodson. And if you're worried about running out Jonathan Taylor, that's what they're there for. So I would like to have seen a little more Taylor and a little bit of Sermon and Goodson mixed in, and a lot less passing from Anthony Richardson. So I don't think that some of this play calling is doing their young, inaccurate quarterback a lot of favors. But I think there's still some positives. I mean, they're 500. There's still an outside chance, to make a run, but they are in the tough part of their schedule. So it was a fun game. It was fun being there, but it would have been nice to not get swept by Houston. But it is what it is.
Yeah. So Isaiah and I both predicted 31-24 Houston.
Yeah.
Jeff predicted 23-20 Indianapolis.
So close. I was never going to say the Texans win, though.
So close.
So
well, of course,
close.
why would you say the Texans unless you're, a Titans fan or something? From the Texans' perspective, I want to shout out some great efforts, and then I want to talk about some problems. Great effort, number one, Kamari Laster. He's putting together an impressive rookie campaign. He's not going to be in contention for Defensive Rookie of the Year by any means. Honestly, the rookie safety, Kalen Bullock, might because of the amount of interceptions he's got. But Kamari Laster was on Michael Pittman a lot. A lot of the passes to Michael Pittman were broken up by Kamari Laster. The play right before the Jalen Petrie interception, Kamari Laster drops an interception.
I don't know why you throw it again.
Literally, basically looked like the same play, but to the other side. And it just did not, I don't know what the goal was. A different effort I want to tribute to here. This is the third game this season that the Texans have held a starting quarterback to 10 or fewer completions. 2 of those games are Anthony Richardson. The other one is Josh Allen. So at least he's in decent company. But this game, in my opinion, shouldn't have been as close as it was. With the way that Anthony Richardson was playing, with the way that CJ Stroud was playing. But I attribute a lot of what happened to Stephon Diggs being out for the second half at least, or whenever he did, got hurt. From that moment on, it got a lot more difficult to move the ball through the air. John Mechie came in and had a really nice reception. Xavier Hutchinson had another really nice reception. And I think the literal next play after the Diggs got hurt, Tank Dell caught a first down pass on a comeback route. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, it was not easy pickings. There's a lot you could say about this offensive line. A lot of the positive notes would be that they are continuing a streak with Joe Mixon. Of every game he finishes, he ends up with 100 yards, which is phenomenal. They are awful when it comes to collective pass protection. CJ Stroud was pressured on 57.5% of all of his dropbacks. Mm-hmm. There was no such thing as a clean pocket. Homie had no options. He's scrambling for his life. And, I think Gus Bradley at several points was just like, all right, this whole only sending 4 thing is kind of working out right now. Especially after Diggs went out. But
He got a little more creative. There were some like different. He definitely threw out a few different looks that I hadn't seen him use to this season. So it seemed like they had a stronger effort on the rush. Maybe they listened to my listen to Unstable.
maybe. Here's to you, Gus Bradley. But Kenyon Green, as I mentioned at the top of the show, put in just an awful performance. I think the staff and front office are collectively done with Kenyon Green. I think they're going to be trying Kendrick Green out at left guard this week. And if that doesn't work out well, there is a world where rookie offensive tackle Blake Fisher comes in at right tackle and current right tackle Titus Howard gets moved to left guard. We'll see how everything shakes out this week with the Jets on Thursday. But for now, this Colts game, this is 8 games in a row where the team hasn't even begun to look like the offense that we thought they could be in the offseason. Slowick's play calling at times is ridiculous. Sometimes it's perfect. One of the things I brought up on That Real Texas Team podcast was watching the game on TV. I heard the commentators say things. Why my God? I heard the commentary team talking about how the Texans had run the exact same run play inside split zone or split inside zone 4 times in a row. And those 4 times had collectively run for about 50 yards. I haven't heard that kind of commentary since Gary Kubiak was in the building, and they could run with Arian Foster and run the same exact play 4 or 5 times in a row, and it, continued to work. And people are complaining about that, but it's also, a huge way of setting up the passing game and everything else. The zone scheme is built to try to make everything look the same. They were in different formations every time they ran the exact same play. That's the whole thing here. You can criticize his play calling for consistently trying to run jet sweeps with wide receivers who shouldn't be running jet sweeps, but he's setting up something with it. It's not pointless. There is a point to it. He's hoping it's going to be successful when he runs it initially, but there's a long game that he's playing. He wants teams to be like, okay, he's going to do this, he's going to do that, blah, blah, blah. People know we're going to do a jet sweep. We're going to do something with it. And we've tried to a couple different times to have Stephon Diggs throw a touchdown. And he ended up running it in instead. So they do try to do different things with it. It's just not panned out the exact way they wanted it. With that being said, if you would have told me at the start of the season, after 8 weeks, we'd be 6-2. Both of the losses that we have are from non-conference opponents, and we'd be 3-0 in the division. I would take it every day of the week. I don't assume that you're going to sweep anybody in this division, because even in years where any one team is just playing awful, they usually end up tripping up at least one division opponent. I mean, hell, look at how bad Tennessee was playing last year, and they tripped up the Jacksonville Jaguars. Had the Jags won, they win the division. Texans are in the wild card if they win. So, I mean, that's just kind of the division we're in. Play like shit most of the time until we play each other. That's why these games are so close and competitive. Mm-hmm. And good God, I live for these games. These are the best games on the calendar every year, and I'm always hyped for it. But mm-hmm. I don't really want to call this a CJ Stroud bounce back game after the Packers game. It wasn't like he just lit it up. He was sacked twice. That's not really on him, but that being pressured 57.5% of the time, and still having that day is nothing to wag the finger at. That is a career high for him, and we came out with a dub. So Texans fans, it's not over yet, but we can see the finish line at this point. Just fucking bear with us, all right? We got a lot of dudes coming back from injury, all right? A lot of dudes. We haven't even seen Christian Harris yet. Beyond that, Joe Mixon's a dog. Tank Dell looked good finally. If Stephon Diggs doesn't play Thursday, I am extremely intrigued by what the hell this offense is going to be able to trot out there against the Jets. So, that being said, I don't have any further comments on this game. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I think I've forgotten. I don't know how, but I should have definitely highlighted. I mean, I don't know if we're still doing the MVP picks for the game, but I'm definitely going to throw in Josh Downs. It seemed like he was the only receiver that would catch the damn ball when it was thrown to him. Yep. I guess it was broken coverage, but he had that big, 60, 70-yard touchdown. Yeah. Took to the house, and then he had almost a second touchdown that was like a quarter-yard shy of the end zone, like just outside. But it was a hell of a catch. It wasn't quite as stylish as OBJ's one-handed, but it was a similar style catch, that falling backwards, jumping up in the air kind of thing. It was similar. And he's not a tall dude, so for him to make that play, I mean, it really seemed like he was one of the few that actually like put his entire heart into that game. So yeah, he had a hell of a game.
Yeah, that was I think that might have been Kalen Bullock actually, who just completely whiffed on that coverage. And watching that particular playback, there's nobody within 25 yards of him.
Wide.
Everybody's on the other side of the field. So definitely blown coverage. Somebody's getting screamed at.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I mean, I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, folks, we are going to have a preview come out Wednesday night, just in time for the Texans game. So check that out. We're probably going to be dropping that, like 9, 10-ish on Wednesday evening. That's Central Time, because anywhere else would it be? But yeah. Go Texans. Be good people.
Go Colts.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.